Good evening, South Windsor. I'd like to call the Town Council regular meeting of Monday, April 18th to order at 7 p.m. Thank you. Could we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Evans? Here. Councilor Kowalski?
Here.
Councilor Lopez?
Here.
Councilor Paterno?
Here.
Mayor Pendleton?
Present.
Deputy Mayor King?
Here.
Councilor Kaskowski?
Here.
Councilor Lidecker? Councilor Gamble?
Here.
Thank you. I received an email from under the mayor's remarks, I'd like to make a comment about this. The South Windsor Fire Department had their annual dinner of a recognition for longevity and for their Spirit Award, and for one of our town employees that's also a firefighter that had the privilege of saving his dad's life. It was a wonderful evening. And while there, Mr. Maniscalco and his staff did a tabletop exercise from folks from Texas. 4 folks came up from MIT, correct, Mr. Maniscalco? And I had the pleasure of meeting them in chatting with them, because I used to live in Texas, and it was a wonderful conversation. So I received an email after that dinner from the folks from Texas that I'd like to read, please, if I could. And it says, Mayor Pendleton, it was an extreme pleasure meeting you at the Firefighters Banquet this week in South Windsor. The ceremony was exceptionally heartfelt by many of us visiting South Windsor that evening. Special thanks to Chief Kevin Cooney for inviting the TEX staff to join in on our celebration. That celebration capped off a very successful TTX conducted earlier in the day at the Emergency Operations Center. Many thanks also to Town Manager Michael Maniscalco and really all the staff, too numerous to mention, that made our journey to South Windsor exceptional for the 3 days that we were present in South Windsor. We, TEX, look forward to our next collaboration together. I will be working on the after-action report for the South Windsor TTX, and wanted you to know just how great the staff were engaged throughout the TTX from start to finish. You have an amazing group of dedicated public servants. 2 exclamation points. Also, thank you for your, oh, that's me about my military service. You don't need to hear that. So, and then he says, till we meet again, thank you. Tommy Camden, TEX. So I wanted to read this out loud for our staff that was so cordial and kind to our Texas folks, and the wonderful work that you guys did, and our public servants that worked with them. So thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. We really appreciate our town staff. And Mr. Roberts, thank you. Okay, now moving on. Number 5 is adoption of the agenda, please. Councilor Kozakowski.
I move the adoption of the agenda.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any changes, deletions, additions to the agenda? Yes. Councilor Evans.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the council to add to the agenda an item, a resolution concerning the approval and extension of an application of a flag to be flown over the town of South Windsor in continued recognition and support for the people of Ukraine and of the Ukrainian community. On here, possibly 13E.
Is there any comments or questions or a second on that? Second. Okay. Is there anything other adoption of the agenda? Deputy Mayor King?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. I'd like to move that we delete executive session number 17E and replace that with what is currently F and move that to E.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Is there any comments, questions, concerns with that? Not hearing any. Is there a second on that change? Okay. So now we have seconds on both, on the changes. There's no other comments on that. So all those in favor with the adoption of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Then we have communications and reports from the town manager, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, Vibrant Road boat launch. It's come to my attention that this has been a topic of conversation on social media in some places. The challenge with the boat launch on our side of the river is that the channel for the Connecticut River is on the opposite side of the river, which causes the eastern side of the river to silt in where our boat launch is located. In order to clear out the boat launch, a regular dredging effort of the river would need to occur. The town does try to clean out the boat launch as best it can with the equipment that we have, but unfortunately the equipment can only reach so far into the river, and typically it silts in again after a few months. In order to undertake the dredging efforts, the Army Corps of Engineers would need to be willing to approve and possibly even conduct these efforts. That said, since there is minimal, if any, commercial boating on the northern section of the river past Hartford, the chances of that occurring are slim. With the purchase of the Scantic River property, we're going to be working on creating a blueway that would connect with the Vibrant Road boat launch. And through these efforts, we're looking to further improve the location. However, residents need to understand that this area will most likely not be a full boat launch for power boats to launch without there being a change in the channel of the river. Our focus will probably be more focused on kayaks and canoes and smaller craft for people to enjoy. Moving on, the Mary Drive tennis courts. So the town, it was brought to our attention that the tennis courts on Mary Drive were in disrepair and created a potential hazard for children in that area. As a result, the town removed those courts and will be planting and maintaining grass in the area until funding is available for new tennis courts or another option in the area is approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So that's kind of where that stands at this point, and we'll update you as that moves forward. Also, I wanted to make sure that the council and as well as the public at home were aware that it is in our town ordinances and code that requires all structures within our community to have the numbers displayed on their property. Those numbers, typically the building department will not issue a CO for your home if your home's being built without those numbers being displayed. But certainly over time, as people move in, move out, do maybe paint their home or whatever, those numbers are taken down. And it's important that those numbers go back up on their homes. That allows our first responders to identify where you may be in order to respond to your home if the need arises. So it's an important thing that we wanted to remind everybody, and it is required per our town charter. Then also to follow up on what the mayor read in terms of the letter, on April 5th, the town staff participated in a multidisciplinary tabletop exercise. Both full-time staff and volunteers worked together to find solutions and test plans to an emergency scenario provided by Texas A&M. The feedback from the observers was very positive, and I heard from many of them that our community should feel very fortunate to have such a broad spectrum of extremely skilled and qualified individuals protecting our community. Staff are working on an after-action report, and we're considering holding a real-life drill in the future to further test and refine our systems. Overall, I would say that that event was extremely valuable for a number of people, including myself. Just a quick update in terms of our budget. I know we've all had a number of hearings and talked about all the different departments going forward. In your calendar, it says that you're supposed to be approving the budget, I believe on May 3rd. The state legislature is looking at approving their budget on May 4th. I think as we're all aware, there are some possibilities that within that budget there could be a car tax cap implemented on municipalities that would cap the mill rate on cars. The governor came here and proposed 29 mills. We haven't heard, I've heard rumor and rumble that that may be changing. So we'll have to see how all that plays out, but it may make sense for us to push off actually approving our budget till after the state legislature has approved theirs. So just to kind of keep that in the back of your head and be aware of what date exactly, I'm not sure of yet. We do, according to the town charter, have until May 22nd to actually approve our budget. So As things progress forward, I will keep you up to date in terms of when we think we might want to do that. And then lastly, I wanted to just bring the council's attention and the public's attention. There's been a lot of work going on Beelzebub Road. I think, as we all know, we're in the process of doing a replacement of that road. It's going to take probably a couple years to get the whole thing done. A lot of tree removal has occurred over the last week or 2 weeks at this point, and that is required work that has to happen in order to actually be able to widen the road to make it meet the road standards for our community. So that is ongoing, and it's a pretty impressive job when you start seeing the scope of it. So a lot of good work going on there as well, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that any of you have.
Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco. Does anyone have any questions for the town manager?
I do, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, you do? Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in regards to the displaying of house numbers, Mr. Maniscalco, I know some towns have the green signs that are reflective for that purpose, for that reason. Do we have an entity in the town of South Windsor whereby people can purchase those, whether that's one that you buy one, somebody gets one free, or it goes into a kitty where, you know?
No, we don't. We don't have that in the town of South Windsor at this point.
Okay. So is there any type of, so let me follow that up then. So if someone were to do this, they just have to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and put up their own type of situation?
Correct.
Mr. Maniscalco, do you know when that stops? Because from what I understand, there's a brochure out in our lobby that you could spend $20 also on our town website.
Yeah, so I've heard that there was a program historically, but that program is not in place at this time.
Okay,
So, and it hasn't been since before I got here, so.
okay. Is there any other questions? Oh, Counselor Gamble.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for putting up that fence at Rye Street Park. It's saving a lot of soccer balls from going into the water and kids chasing them. So
But that's the great work of our Parks Department. They did that, so.
thank you, Parks and Rec.
Very good.
Mr. Maniscalco, I know you spoke about the budget and us on May 3rd that we were intending to do that. That's our first meeting of May, correct? Is May 3rd?
Correct.
And then our second meeting of May would be the 21st. Is that 14, the 17th? So we would have
16th.
time before the 22nd to approve it on the 17th if we would need to do so without calling a special meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so we have,
We have options.
we do. We're good, okay. Any other questions? Not seeing any? Thank you, Mr. Maniscalco.
You're welcome.
Item number 7 is public input for any items on the agenda. The public input shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by me, the speaker shall approach the lectern, give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks or impugning or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item on the agenda, and the speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak on any item on the agenda? Ms. Delmicky?
Good evening. It's been 1 week since I sent the entire town council an email asking for reasons as to why my appointments to 2 commissions have been denied. What I don't understand is why are there links on the town of South Windsor's website to email this council if you're not going to respond? You work for us, and when any resident in town asks for information, you should respond. We should not be ignored. So if you're going to claim that you did not receive this email, I'm here to provide you a hard copy. I included in this email were my phone number, email address, and my home address. So there is no reason for me not getting a phone call, an email, or even a drive-by. In my email to you all, I inserted 2 quotes from the March 21st meeting one from Councilor Paterna. I would like to address Councilor Gamble's concerns. I would just say that I think there have been many efforts to reach out to these individuals to express our concerns, and I think it's up to them to address those concerns at this point. Thank you. And as I stated in my email, this is false and an inaccurate statement. And I just stated I have not received a phone call, an email, or a drive-by. You all know where I live. And another quote from Councilor Evans on the same meeting. I just wanted to reflect on something that was said earlier, and then it was just repeated again, about if we have someone who wants to volunteer, we should be putting them in that position. And I just think we can't. Just because a person says they want to volunteer, we have a duty to the town to make sure that these are the appropriate people to fill those positions. I don't think we should just be opening the door to anyone. We, as counselors, need to hold those who we appoint to boards and commissions to a high standard, just as we do ourselves. So I hope that as we are considering those we bring forward, that we are considering who they are, how they represent themselves, and how they represent the town on these boards and commissions. And I would like to ask, what are the high standards that Councilor Evans is referring to? If the council is not going to follow high standards for themselves, what are we as residents supposed to think? Thank you, and I'll pass out the email in case you think it's okay.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in public input concerning any item on the agenda? Good evening, Mr. Edwards.
Good evening. Dan Edwards, 131 Hilton Drive. Great to be here. No changes to the agenda. Must mean there are no Republican appointments, commission appointments. I hope it gives those members of the majority extra time to provide a thoughtful response to those residents, including the one that just spoke before me, a thoughtful response to their requests for reasons for their denial. Thoughtful responses, meaningful responses, based on their testimony at the last town council meeting as well as the one this evening. They both have done great things and have served their community for a very long time. Here, speaking in response to two things, under item 8, adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. Again, a lot of them, everything really speaks to disinformation campaigns, but I really wanted to, maybe this might be a little nitpicky, but be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approve the minutes of the meeting of April 4th. It says that Dan Edwards spoke about a disinformation campaign. A little bit of a nitpicky point. The disinformation campaign, I would love to see it for the record that it was against a small business. If you read through or if you listen through the meeting, it was against a small business, and that's not right. And then, moreover, circling back to appointments, you can't continue to summarily deny Republican appointments to various commissions, and then in the next breath complain that the Republican Town Committee needs to do their job and make appointments. Things don't make sense. You put a really big burden on people on the committee when you try to dictate who you think is perfect, despite the fact that we have people willing and able to volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on any items on the agenda? Asking again, anyone from the public that would like to speak on any items on the agenda? Not seeing any, I'll ask a third time. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on any items on the agenda? Not seeing any, we'll move on to item number 8, adoption of previous minutes. Councilor Evans.
Are we splitting these up by date or doing them all
sorry?
together? Are we splitting these up by date or doing them all together?
Not all together, please, no.
Okay. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular Town Council meeting of March 21st, 2022.
Is there a second? Is there any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Items 13A and 13B, discussing the appointments first readings for two appointments. I remember there being a significant amount of discussion by several counselors discussing the merits of the suitability of these two appointments to those positions.
I'm
And
sorry,
they-
Counselor Kozakowski? Am I missing something? This is for the March 21st
Yeah,
minutes?
13A, page 11, thank you. Resolution appointing Audrey Delnicki to the Blighted
That's not what I have.
Blighted Property Appeals Board.
I have affordable housing plan.
Page 11.
Oh, we have two.
So maybe there's also a numbering error too. I
Okay,
didn't
no
catch
wonder
that.
I have two 13As.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I wasn't sure which one we're looking at, that's okay.
So that must be 13, oh, well,
Under new business
we
would
can
be
get the
good.
numbering
I don't know
corrected
why
too, I
there's
guess. I'll
new
add that to my
business
notes.
On both, okay. We'll have to fix that.
Yeah, so the second 13A and the second 13B, discussing the resolutions appointing Mrs. Delnicki and Mr. Balboni to positions. There was a significant amount of comments from counselors discussing the merits, and none of them are reflected in the minutes, so I would like those to be added.
Would you like them verbatim?
I think our new council clerk would be able to summarize them in an efficient manner.
So you'd like to see the counselor's comments within these minutes?
Correct.
That's what you're asking for?
Yes.
Is there a second on that change?
I have one change also, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go with that one first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed on that change? Okay, and Counselor Gamble?
Also on 13A and B, it says the motion passed with a roll call vote of 6 nays. I believe it should say the motion was denied, or whatever the proper term is.
Oh, good catch.
On both A and B, the one we were just discussing on the...
Says failed, the motion failed?
The motion failed. It should say the motion failed, not the motion passed, with a roll call vote of 6 nays for both A and B for the two appointments.
Okay,
Madam Mayor?
how is that wrong? Right? I don't understand that.
Is
I
there-
don't understand
is
what
there-
you're saying.
Is there an updated one that I'm reading wrong incorrectly?
Well, it looks like in your packet you have two different versions, so we were trying to figure it out just a minute ago here. It looks like you have a minutes revised on 4/14/2022 version of March 21, 2022 minutes, and then you have another one that's just the regular, it has no revised on it. So I think you guys gotta decide which one you wanna work off of, and then go from there. Or at least that's what I have in my packet here.
We only have one version.
Oh, there's two versions of the minutes.
Okay, we have two versions?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're both in our packet?
Where is the,
I think we received one copy today and then a copy in our package over last week.
so the one I
Okay.
gave him was,
So, can we, do we
Okay.
want to just table?
I'm very confused
We
because
can
I
just
don't
clear it
have.
up?
Yeah.
Can we motion to table these minutes until the next meeting until they get us scored away?
Could you
Perfect.
read,
Madam Mayor?
could you, yes,
I think Mr. Maniscalco is right, and for Counselor Gamble's concerns, the revised agenda does use the word failed as opposed to passed, so, but we should clear it up, you're right, let's table it and.
so
make
let's
sure it's
table
clear.
it. So
Yeah.
if everyone, if you could withdraw your motion to change these at this time and just make a motion to table these.
Sure, I withdraw my motion to amend the agenda, and I have a new motion to table the adoption of these minutes.
Is there a second to table these minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any. Okay, we'll table those. Counselor Evans, continue, please.
Be it
March
resolved-
29th.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the special budget work session meeting of March 29th, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion, deletions, additions to the March 29th minutes? Counselor Kozakowski,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's quite all right. Is everyone okay with these minutes? Counselor Paterno, you good? Okay. Counselor Evans, are you good with these? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Next.
Oh, abstain.
Oh, there's an abstention, I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Yes?
Yes. Abstaining?
Yes?
Yes.
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 And the vote is? 8 yeses and 1 abstention. No, 7 yeses and 1 abstention. Because Councilor Ledecker's not here. Thank you. The motion carries. Okay, next one, Councilor Evans.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the special town council meeting on March 31st, 2022.
Is there a yes, is there a second? Okay, thank you, Councilor Paterno. Is there any additions, corrections, deletions of the March 31st minutes? Councilor Kazakowski.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Under roll call item number 2, it had me both present and absent. And maybe it was here in spirit, but not in body, so please remove me from being present on the minutes.
So you were not present that
I
meeting?
was not present at that
Okay.
meeting.
You were not present, thank you. Is there any other corrections, deletions, additions? Not seeing any. Everyone is okay with that change of Mr. Councilor Kazakowski not being here for that evening. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Abstained.
Three abstentions. 3 abstentions. Okay, that motion carries. The next one, please.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the special budget work session of March 31st, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, is there any oh my goodness. Is there any deletions, additions, or corrections? Not hearing any, seeing any, and again, you were not here that evening, correct, for the special meeting? Okay, so there's no additions, deletions, corrections. Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any abstention?
Abstain.
Roll call, please.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes? Yes?
Yes.
Abstained.
Thank you, and the motion carries. Counselor Evans?
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular town council meeting on April 4th, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor King. Is there any additions, deletions, corrections to the April 4th minutes? Everybody's just taking a minute, that's all. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any objections? None. Any abstentions? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, and the motion carries. Okay, that wasn't too difficult. We have one more, I believe. Okay, Counselor Evans?
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the public hearing concerning the transfer of funds from the capital non-recurring account to the Women's Police Department locker room account of April 4th, 2022.
Is there a second? Is there any additions, deletions, corrections to this motion? These minutes? None? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Did we get Counselor Lopez in there? I didn't hear his name.
Yes.
Okay. That's 7 yeas and 1 abstention. That's okay, I got you. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you for all those approvals of the minutes and
There's one
tabling
more.
of the one.
We
Oh,
have
I
one
did?
more, Madam Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Counselor Evans.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the public hearing concerning the proposed Board of Education budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 of April 4th, 2022.
I don't have those minutes. Do you guys have those minutes?
Yes. Yes.
You do? Are they? Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Okay. There we go. Okay. Is there a second? All those in favor? Oh, are there any additions, corrections, deletions of the minutes? Not seeing any. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any abstention. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. We did them all. Fantastic. The motion carries. All right. Okay. Now moving on to item number 9. Good job, Mr. Scott. Communications from, oh, look at this, water. Good job. Okay, communications from liaisons, officers, and boards directly responsible to the council, please. Item number 9. Does anyone have anything to report? Councilor Evans.
Thank you. So I have a couple to report on. The first is Human Relations Commission, which met on Thursday, April 7th. They are planning a Pride event for June 28th. Mark your calendars, and there's more information to come. They are also working in collaboration to plan something for June 12th, which will be Race Amity Day. The Human Relations Commission is still accepting submissions for the photo contest and exhibition until June 24th. Entries are welcome from all ages and levels of ability and skill. The theme is Resilience and Hope Rising in South Windsor. Winners will be announced in July and the awards ceremony in August. More information is available on the HRC Facebook page. Okay, another.
Continue.
The Park and Rec Commission met on Wednesday, April 13th. Their spring and summer registration went live for residents on April 6th, and the words of our director, it was impressive. Most summer camps have active wait lists, with the average wait list for Discovery at 48. They are currently evaluating wait lists and possible available space to see what can be feasibly accommodated to open it to more students to camp. Also, the Fishing Derby had over 200 attendees, despite some less than desirable weather. Parks crews have really been hard at work to prepare the sports fields around town. It was noted by John Caldwell as well as the commissioners that they are ready and now ongoing for spring sports. The space at John J. Mitchell Fairgrounds has also afforded use of cricket within the community, which was exciting to many. VMP covers are coming off ASAP, which means pool season is coming. Also, a new sign was created in-house and installed at Avery Gardens. This year at Avery Gardens, it will feature a seed kiosk, which is pretty cool for the community to donate and share seeds with others throughout the season. Lastly, I'll just note on the Social Justice and Racial Equity Commission and the Arts Commission, both of these commissions were created with the best interests of the community. And I really do urge both town committees to bring forth the needed membership, especially the Republican Town Committee, who has brought only one name forward in total for both of these commissions. The premise really was to make these as non-political and community-driven as possible. There are many people within the community who are not on the town committees whose names could come forward. You do not have to be a member. You just need to speak to one of the two town committees and really just to help find that membership so we can get these committees going, or commissions going. You just need to be a registered voter. The other thing I just want to say to the council is that I feel like if we get to the end of May and we really haven't filled these seats, I'd like us to consider looking at the ordinance to try to make it feasible and re-examine the membership so that we can really get these commissions going. So I think if we can set that goal by the end of next month to get some people on these commissions, otherwise I think we need to reevaluate the ordinance and the membership. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any reports? Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to report that the Planning Zoning Commission has met twice since our last meeting. Really the only topic of big public interest was that the commission approved a one-year moratorium on any new warehouse or freight terminal applications. And within this 1 year time period, they're going to be looking at their zoning regulations to make sure that any future applications, any future proposals will kind of be consistent with what the town of South Windsor wants.
Thank you, Councilor Kozakowski. Anyone else have any reports? Not seeing any, we'll be moving on to item number 10, reports from committees. Councilor Evans.
Thank you. The Park and Recreation Facilities Planning and Implementation Committee met on Thursday, April 14th. We toured the Old Orchard Hill building to view how it could be used as a temporary placement for Parks and Rec Department and discuss that option. The committee is preparing to provide an update to the council next month, as well as the committee to tour other park and recreation facilities in the area. There was also some discussion about amending the original resolution based on the committee recommendations. So that's being discussed, and it's something we might see some committee recommended changes to that original resolution or amended original resolution. So.
Thank you, Councilor Evans. Does anyone have any other reports from committees? Not hearing any, not seeing any. We'll be moving on to item number 11, the consent agenda. Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Number 11, consent agenda. Motion to approve agenda items 11.B1 as a second reading on the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Item 11C, there is none. What's from miscellaneous? 12A. Councilor Kozakowski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm not going to go into all the details that I went into the last meeting, but there was some councilors that were not present that didn't have a chance to voice any concerns or opinions on the proposed language for a modification to our existing local preference ordinance. Generally speaking, from speaking to members of the public, I've had some general positive feedback on that. A couple things that I do want to look at is one of the proposals, one of the amendments proposed was to change the threshold from any local bids within 3% of the max or min could get preferential treatment. The language that was provided 2 weeks ago and within your packets today, they discuss amending it to 10%. I want to investigate that number a little bit more. The reason for the increase was to just allow more opportunity and kind of cast a bigger net for local businesses to bid. What I didn't consider, and I want to investigate a little bit further, was that at the same time we want to make it easier for local businesses, but we also don't want to deter any outside businesses from providing bids. So what I want to do before the next meeting or within the next month is look at other communities that offer this type of preference, see what numbers they offer and what their thresholds are, and see how successful they are. One thing that we can tell is that 3% hasn't been very successful for us because this ordinance hasn't been applied much at all since its adoption, or maybe it did early on, but we're not too sure. But definitely not within the last 3-4 years. So there is a warrant for a change because we want rules and laws that work. But we just want to make sure we don't overdo it. So in the meantime, I will be looking, as I said, I'll be researching best practices and successes for other communities. And I defer to our town manager. Is this a good time to have our new town attorney look at the language?
Certainly, I certainly can pass this along to Attorney Corrello to have him take a look at it, as long as there's no additional modifications or changes on the part of the council. I think once we kind of get all the feedback and input from all the council members, to which at this point, besides just the discussion about whether 3% or 10%, I haven't had any other feedback from anybody. So, you know, if we can just be sure that we're not going to have any additional changes or requests from the other council members of substance, then we certainly can pass it on, just to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible with Mr. Corrello's time.
Okay.
Mr. Maniscalco, I'm sorry, Councilor Kozakowski, may I ask him, Mr. Maniscalco, a question?
Please.
Concerning this.
Yeah.
Councilor Kozakowski just mentioned that he'd like to look at other area towns to see if any have done anything like this. Could you give him a hand with doing that with maybe 3 towns and bring back to us what other 3 towns that you found with their wording before we proceed on to the town attorney?
Okay.
And also, if we could, where it says for B here, 1B, it has reference of the section 714 and 715 of the charter. If we could put that wording in there, just so it's, when it's reflected, folks can read it and see what the town charter says. You know what I'm talking about, Councilor Kozakowski, on page 1 there?
Okay, so the reference to the charter, sections 714, 715, that's where it describes and defines what a responsible bidder is. And in the charter, it only describes a responsible bidder as somebody that's making a bid to do work for the town. It doesn't address a bidder as it would apply in section 2, when it's somebody looking to bid to like lease land from the city. So that definition in the charter doesn't really apply to the new language.
But shouldn't the ordinance reflect the charter? Shouldn't we use the charter as our guidance for any ordinance that we create and use the wording from the charter?
Absolutely, but there's no language in the charter that describes a individual that is looking to bid to, for instance, lease land from the town. So there's no reference in the charter to define that type of individual. So there's no reference to be made.
So when you're saying the the lowest responsible, you say the lowest responsible bidder, and the word responsible is removed. And then it says pursuant to the town charter. So that's kind of like hanging there. What is it saying right here?
When I was when in the proposal, now let me back up. In the existing language, it talks about only a responsible bidder, and a responsible bidder is essentially a defined term in the charter per those references. What I am proposing in this amendment is to kind of cast a wider net to what a bidder is, and incorporate kind of a new group of people, that want to, for instance, lease land from the town, excuse me. And what I think by removing the word responsible in this clause, 1B, it doesn't change what a bidder is with respect to section 1 because of the reference. I mean, I'd be happy to discuss this with the town manager and town attorney when it gets to that point.
Yeah, I think,
Right, like maybe another word in here that would say the lowest bidder. Yeah, I think, we can talk about that.
and tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, I think from when we were drafting this, it was, there was a term like lowest responsible business bidder or business responsible bidder. It was kind of a strange term that was in here, and it really, to me, it felt like it was taking the opportunity away from the small mom and pop shop, or maybe they're not a business, but they're, working out of their home, or maybe they're a local small farmer, and it was kind of excluding them from that. That term was excluding the smaller individuals. So what we were trying to do is create a bigger picture to allow additional people to benefit locally from this ordinance by just calling them bidders, and then trying to reference back to just the section in the charter. We can certainly look at the language, and if it's meant to be in there, we'll have that added for sure.
Thank you.
Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
that's where
You
we
said it
were
better
going.
than I did. Yep.
I mean, I understand the intent. I just don't understand how this one sentence here, it just doesn't make, I just don't understand the sentence, that's all. I don't understand where it was changed from and why is it changed to this. If that's the intent of what you're trying to accomplish, then maybe it can be written a little bit better down here, under B.
I mean, with better how?
Well, we'd have to look over section 714 and 715 and figure out a better wording for that sentence. Because that sentence is just like a hanging, dangling, none, doesn't make sense kind of sentence. Do you happen to have the charter there?
Yeah, we can find language
Sure.
that'll fit there.
Okay.
That's not,
All right, no worries.
it's not hard.
Yeah, I can kind of see how it hangs, but not every not every clause is a proper sentence, put it that way. But I see how it's kind of hanging there.
Okay, we can work on
We'll
it.
find a ladder for it to not hang.
okay.
We'll clean it up.
Thanks, okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, Counselor Kazakowski.
No, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to this? No? So we can work on this and then bring it back with any changes? Is that acceptable? Okay. Oh, Counselor Lopez? No? Okay. Thank you, Counselor
Madam Mayor?
Kazakowski.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, absolutely, Counselor Paterno.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank Councilor Kozakowski for bringing this forward. I support the efforts here, and I appreciate the work you've done. I think the only question I had when I first received this is, what should that percentage be? And I think you're already dealing with that. So I appreciate the work and look forward to working with you on it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Not seeing any. We'll be moving on to item 13A. Oh, okay. Yes, this is a mayoral appointment. Thank you. I'm sorry. Don't laugh at me. Okay, here we go. Resolution appointing Peter R. DeMalley to the Central Regional Tourism District. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby reappoints Peter R. DeMalley to the Central Regional Tourism District for a term ending September 1, 2024. Is there a second? Councilor Evans, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Moving on to 13B, Councilor Kowalski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 13B, resolution concerning the approval of a flag to be flown over the town of South Windsor in honor of Public Works Week. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a request to fly the Public Works flag from May 16th, 2022 through May 20th, 2022, and asks the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, to have the flag raised on the flagpole at the Wapping Community House on Monday, May 16th, 2022, and lowered on Friday, May 20th, 2022, in honor of Public Works Week.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any, the motion carries. Thank you. Item 13C. Councilor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 13C, resolution supporting and endorsing the proposed affordable housing plan as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission for a public hearing to be held on April 26, 2022. Whereas the town of South Windsor is required to prepare an affordable housing plan under provision of CGS 8-30J and submit to the Connecticut Department of Housing by June 1st, 2022. Whereas such plan shall specify how the municipality intends to increase the number of affordable housing developments in the municipality, and whereas the town obtained the consulting firm of Planimetrics, Inc., to assist the Affordable Housing Working Group in the preparation of this plan. Whereas the Affordable Housing Group, comprised of local boards, commissions, and the public, supported by town staff, and the consultant met several times over the past 6 months to review the town's current housing affordability and to develop the draft plan. Whereas a portion of the research involved a community-wide affordable housing survey, which yielded over 900 responses that provided valuable information and direction for the group. Whereas, as stated in the overall vision portion of this plan, addressing changing housing needs and promoting diverse housing opportunities are important for the town of South Windsor and its current and future residents. And whereas people's housing needs and desires change over the course of their lives, and providing for a diverse mix of housing helps ensure that people of all ages, incomes, and characteristics will be able to find housing in South Windsor to meet their needs. And whereas the Affordable Housing Working Group hopes that this plan will help inform and educate residents about the housing needs in South Windsor, result in specific actions to help address this and future needs. Whereas the preparation and adoption of this affordable housing plan is consistent with the fair housing policy adopted by the Town Council in 2021, now therefore be it resolved that the Town of South Windsor hereby endorses the proposed affordable housing plan and sends a favorable recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission for public hearing on April 26, 2022.
Is there any discussion? Yes, I have a discussion. On page 4 of 5, third paragraph down, first sentence. Whereas people's housing needs and desires change over the course of their lives, and providing for a diverse mix of housing helps ensure that people of all ages, incomes, and characteristics will be able to find housing in South Windsor to meet their needs. Is the word characteristics appropriate for humans? That's what this sentence is in reference to. Not houses, but humans, the way that it's written. So, Professor Paterna, could you help us here with a better word or keep the word?
I think it's appropriate because we're talking about, we're just trying to describe that in terms of ages and incomes, diversity. I think it's appropriate.
Should we use the word diversity instead of characteristics?
No, I think characteristics encompasses a lot more in terms of descriptions of people who may be purchasing housing in South Windsor. I think it's an appropriate term.
Okay, Counselor Kazakowski?
Thank you. May I offer changing the word characteristics to demographic?
All ages, incomes, and demographics?
Less charged.
Sure. I mean, to me, characteristic is, blonde hair, blue eyes, things like that, to describe. Do you see what I'm saying? That, to me, that's what characteristic is. Counselor Evans, do you have teacher?
I like demographics, but the word I thought it was individualities, but I think demographics is probably better than individualities.
Demographics, okay. Is everyone amenable to demographics? Is that okay with everyone? Thank you. I just thought that was strange. Okay. Any other discussion on this motion? Not seeing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Maniscalco, did you want to reference this at all? We're in the middle of a vote before we finish voting.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Do you want to reference any of this or talk about any of this?
Well, the whole purpose that we're doing it is because we've actually met our requirement for affordable housing in our community.
Okay.
So we were able to be granted an affordable housing moratorium from the state. As a part of that process, the town has to go through and create an affordable housing plan moving forward. So that's what you're now approving.
Thank you. And we were in the middle of a vote, so we did, although, I'm going to say ayes again. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any okay, and no abstentions, I take it. So, okay, the motion carries. Okay, so now we are on to 13D. Counselor Gamble.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A resolution approving a refund of taxes to 14 South Windsor taxpayers. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves a refund of property taxes to 14 South Windsor taxpayers, the total of said refunds being $18,466.04, and as more fully described in attached Exhibit A.
Is there a second? Is there any discussion? I don't see attached Exhibit A. Is it in the packet? Okay. Just make sure that it gets attached. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion carries. Moving on to item 13E, Counselor Evans.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves and extends a request to fly the Ukrainian flag over the town of South Windsor and asks that the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, have the flag raised on the flagpole at the Wapping Community House and lowered on Sunday, May 15, 2022, in our community's continued recognition and ongoing support of the people of Ukraine.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, if you notice, with the discussion, I'm just going to point out that Town Manager, Mr. Maniscalco, has not signed off, and because we received this from a counselor, so he will sign off this evening once we approve this, so then it will go into the file with his signature on it. So, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any. Motion carries. Moving on to item 14, passage of ordinance. We don't have any. And item 15 is public input on any matter. Is there anyone from the public? Public input for any matter shall not exceed 30 minutes. When recognized by me, the speaker shall approach the lectern and give their name and address. Speakers shall avoid personal attacks, impugning, or alleging an improper motive to any person. The speaker may address the council on any item. The speaker shall limit their speaking time to 5 minutes. Ms. Delnicki?
Thank you, Audrey Delnicki. I'd just like to bring your attention, I believe I heard the votes correctly for the resolution approving the minutes of April 4th. I believe I heard just one abstention.
I wrote them all down. Give me 1 second. April 4th regular meeting?
The regular meeting and the two public hearings.
Yes, we have one abstention.
Abstentions.
I'm sorry?
Councilor Paterna and Councilor Gamble were not at the April 4th meeting.
What's that? What about you? April 4th.
Mayor Pendleton, Deputy Mayor King, Councilor Kubowski, Councilor Kozakowski, Councilor Lopez, and Councilor Lydecker were present.
Point of order, Madam Mayor. I think we can let Mrs. Delnicki finish her comments, but we can discuss that matter in communications.
Absolutely, we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was basically my comments. I just want to make sure that you have your votes corrected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on any matter?
Madam Mayor, I have a letter, but it is almost 8 o'clock, so if you want me to read it or wait.
I'm sorry?
I do have a
Oh, we
submitted
do.
letter for public comment, but it is 7:59. I can start it, or we can,
We have the public input.
yeah, public hearing, right?
I mean, public hearing. At 8 o'clock.
So it's up to you. I can start reading? Do you want me to read it, or you want me to wait?
I believe you need to wait because
Okay.
there may be more.
8 o'clock now.
So we're going to start the public hearing. Public hearing be held at 8 p.m. to receive citizen input on the proposed general government budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023. Mr. Scott.
To be published in the Journal Enquirer, April 11th, 2022, legal ad, Town of South Windsor. Notice is hereby given that the South Windsor Town Council has set Monday, April 18th, 2022, at 8 o'clock p.m. at the council chambers of the South Windsor Town Hall, 1540 Sullivan Ave, South Windsor, Connecticut, as the time and place for a public hearing to receive citizens' input on the proposed general government budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. Dated South Windsor, Connecticut, the 11th day of April 2022. A copy of this legal ad was published in the Journal Enquirer on April 11th.
Is there anyone from the public, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in the public hearing concerning the general government budget? Is there anyone from the public? Going 3 times, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in the public hearing concerning the general government budget for fiscal year 2022, 2023? Not seeing any, the public hearing is closed. Going back to the regular meeting, and we are still in public input on any matter. Counselor Evans.
Thank you. I have a letter submitted by Paul Bernstein, 191 Newbury Road. I'd like to register a concern regarding the open carrying of firearms in Town Hall. Why would one need to do this? Let's explore. I've been in the Town Hall many times and have yet to see a deer, turkey, or duck, so I must conclude it is not for hunting. During well-attended public hearings, there is almost always a police presence, so I have to eliminate security concerns as a reason. Then there is a threat of some sort of terrorist attack. If one can carry, conceal, gun permit, was truly concerned about this, a modicum of intelligence would suggest that you are better prepared with a concealed weapon to benefit from the element of surprise. Otherwise, you become the first target. This leaves one reason for carrying a firearm into public venue: intimidation. The problem with intimidation is it invites others to bring even bigger and badder firearms into our public forum. State statute bans the carrying of firearms into places like school grounds, the State Building and House of General Assembly, a building where a public hearing is held by the General Assembly Committee, other state buildings like DEEP, etc. Laws pertaining to carrying of firearms in Connecticut are sometimes vague and sometimes incomplete. This was the conclusion of a brief discussion I had on this topic with Chief of Police Lindstrom. In our discussion, he explained to me that statutes apply to state law and ordinances to town law. I am asking the town council to consider an ordinance prohibiting the carrying of firearms into the town hall building to be added to our code of ordinances, Article 5, under section 70-191. Considering the thoughts laid out in the letter, I'm not sure I can see an argument against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Evans. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on any matters? Second call, anyone else from the public that would like to speak on any matters? Third call, anyone from the public like to speak in public input on any matter? Not seeing any. We'll be moving on to item 16, communications from the council, where I do believe that we should address the, and no, you were not here. Councilor
Right.
Paterno.
I just checked my record, so I apologize. I should have abstained, and I voted for those minutes on April 4th, so.
That's okay.
Let's correct
So,
that record.
uh,
Thank you.
Attorney Corella, how do we fix that vote, please? Because Councilor Paterno was not here on the 4th, he should be an abstention. I'm sorry, yes, we'd like to
You can do a motion to reconsider that vote.
okay, and then we vote all over again for
Yes.
all of them? Okay. I'd like
Just
to
the
make-
one that he's abstaining from, not all of them.
I'm sorry?
It's just that one that he's abstaining from.
There's 3 of them for
Okay.
April 4th.
Then all of them,
Okay.
yep.
Counselor Gamble?
I watched the meeting and then read the minutes. I don't know if that counts as, it doesn't?
That's an abstention, because you weren't here.
I don't think so. If I watch the minutes, and I've watched the meeting and read the minutes, and I'm okay with it, is that still an abstention?
Yeah, if you watched the meeting and you reviewed the minutes and you're comfortable voting on the minutes, then you can do that. You don't have to be present to vote on the minutes. Right.
Okay, so let us make, can someone make a motion to reconsider the vote?
Move to reconsider the vote.
Oh, wait a second. Then are you going to change your vote to yes instead of abstention? I don't believe so. I think you were the abstention.
I was the
I'm sorry.
abstention.
Thank you. Appreciate your help. Thank you.
But I will
Okay.
note that I did watch it as well,
Okay, so,
but I will still abstain.
I'm sorry, go ahead with your motion, Deputy Mayor King. I apologize.
Move to reconsider the vote for April 4th.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, not seeing any, that motion carries, so we will go back to the beginning of page 1 of 5, down at the bottom. Counselor Evans?
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the special budget work session, forgive me, I'm reading the wrong one. Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the regular town council meeting on April 4th, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. Is there any discussion, additions, deletions, corrections? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not seeing any abstentions?
Abstain?
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilor Evans?
Abstain?
Councilor Lewski?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Paterno?
Abstain.
Mayor Pendleton?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King?
Yes.
Councilor Kaskowski?
Yes.
Councilor Gamble?
Yes.
Okay.
6 yeas and 2 abstentions.
Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to the next. Counselor Evans.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the public hearing concerning the transfer of funds from the capital non-recurring account to the Women's Police Department locker room account of April 4th, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain?
Abstain.
Roll call, please.
Abstain?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor King? Yes. Councilor Kaskowski?
Yes.
Councilor, not here, Councilor Gamble?
Yes.
Okay. And that's a 6-2. Thank you. The motion carries. Counselor Evans.
Be it resolved that the South Windsor Town Council hereby approves the minutes of the public hearing concerning the proposed Board of Education budget for fiscal year 2022-2023 of April 4th, 2022.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Roll call, please.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain?
Yes.
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 Thank you, and the motion carries. And moving on in our agenda, any other communications from the council under item 16? Not hearing any. Moving on in our agenda, we have executive session. Deputy Mayor King, and we would like to invite Mr. Scott Nolan in with us this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Executive session to discuss a personnel matter, Town manager's previous 2021 performance evaluation. I'd like to invite the town manager, Michael Maniscalco, the assistant town manager, Mrs. Perry, and assistant town manager, Mr. Roberts. I'd also like to include Mr. Scott Nolan, as well as any other appropriate personnel that are deemed necessary, but at this time, just Mr. Scott Nolan.
I would like to amend that motion, please, to eliminate or remove the names of Mr. Maniscalco, Ms. Perry, and Mr. Roberts, and only invite Mr. Nolan in, and we certainly do not need our town attorney in there either, so I don't know if you said him.
Nope.
So it's just Mr. Nolan.
I agree to that amendment.
Thank you. Is there a second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Not hearing any, the motion carries. We will adjourn from executive session. Thank you, everyone. Be safe. Have a wonderful evening.